Hi, it's David at Art of David Smith. So we're going to be drawing this one a little bit later in the evening than I would normally film these, so I apologise if the light's not great, but as you can see from this lovely lady here, this week we're going to do the final of the three-parter, which is the Day of the Dead makeup. So what I do when I'm drawing these in the shop, say for somebody's tattoo, is I found in the past that when I was looking for Day of the Dead inspiration, models and things like that, they were often in the wrong pose what I needed them for where they was going to end up in my composition. So what I started doing was looking for poses in the right position and then applying the makeup kind of like you would to yourself if you were going out in Day of the Dead makeup. So here I have a prepared drawing, so however you prepare your own drawings, whether you use the grid method, whether you want to trace, it's entirely up to you, but using the lessons from our previous videos on how to draw a face and the Sugar Skull video, we're going to kind of incorporate those elements to make this final picture, which is the Day of the Dead makeup. Excuse my cough still, I'm still getting over this cold. So, as we've gone through before, personally I always start with the eyes. A great believer that if you get the eyes right, the rest of the picture will follow on. So again, just like the video how to draw a realistic eye, if you want to refer to that one, we're going to take those lessons and apply them onto our model here. So just going to quickly start dropping this shade into here, and obviously refer to the video what we've done before, refer to your notes if you actually had a go at drawing the realistic eye. And what I'm intending to do is obviously working a lot quicker than I would normally, and again a lot darker than I would normally, so that you can see these see this video at home. So what I'm trying to do is get a lot of the main shaded areas in to the drawing. Once I've got that, then I'll start applying the Day of the Dead makeup. Now obviously when you're doing this at home, spend a bit more time doing that, but I'm kind of firing in these big shaded areas first. I'm not going to spend too much time on the eyebrows for the moment, because as you'll see when we start putting the Day of the Dead on there, the eyebrows are actually quite an important area for marking out where the eye makeup ends up going on these things. So let's move across to the other eye, and what I'll do as well is I will darken the shaded areas what need to be darkened as and when, but obviously at this stage I prefer to start putting those areas in first and then bringing the overall darkness of the picture up together. So rather than completely finish, say, this eye and have left all the rest, I will put in a lot of the shading in and around the face and then bring all the levels up together, and I just find that gives a far better excuse me again, more accurate result doing it that way than to concentrate on one area. It just gives an overall balance to the picture, which you don't seem to get if you just work in isolation. So, obviously underneath the lids, a certain amount of shading into there. Eyelashes again, I'm putting them in loosely for the moment, but I will accentuate them at the end, because again, when you're doing the makeup, you're wanting to bring particular attention to the eye area. So I'm just putting in everything quite quickly at the moment. Just need to sort this eye out a little bit better. And what I'll do is, before I move on to the next part, I'm going to just spend a little bit of time adding a bit more detail, a bit more shade into the overall face to get it to the point where I need it to be before we start doing the properly made up Day of the Dead. So, also I'm just concentrating on getting these areas in, so excuse me if I'm just a little bit quiet, but just bear with me. Again, while I'm talking about past videos and things like that, let me just say thank you again for all those people that have commented on the recent videos. A few ideas now for new subject matter, what we can look to do. I guess it'll probably end up being in the new year now, because we are now quite close to the year end, and I've obviously got videos in the pipeline already, so watch this space for new videos. Detail on the nose. Obviously there's a mention as well in the video of how to draw a realistic face and shade the face. If you want to refer to that video again, when you're shading in and around the nose area, just remember the light, what's bouncing up off of the surface, is going to cause a highlight underneath the nose. Once you start putting those areas in, that's going to feel a lot more three-dimensional, a lot more realistic. So refer to that video, and when you start bringing all those elements together, you will then obviously get the overall picture, what we're trying to do here. So for the moment, just trying to get some of these areas in so we get a bit of form to the face, so you can see what I'm going to do next. And if you keep hearing noises from around, that's because the family are at home and doing all the things which families do in the evening, getting bath, getting ready for bed and all that kind of things. So I apologise if you hear any banging and crashing. But as you'll see from the video, which will I guess be released tomorrow now, there was a bit of a extra bonus which will have gone out this week. Which is a small video in regards to the release of the second Prince Porrig book which we've done, which is called The Peculiar Pet. Now, for those of you that don't know, when I'm not drawing pictures like this and doing YouTube videos and the such, I illustrate books. So the book which is going to be released on the 2nd of December is the second of a series which I've been working on with an author who's actually based in Australia. First what was released a year or so back, 2 years back maybe now, which is Prince Porrig and the Calamitous Carbuncle. If you want to look it up, both of them are or will be available from the 2nd of December on Amazon. So you can look to, if you just type Prince Porrig into your search on Amazon, you'll be able to find and purchase those books. And they're ideally suited for young readers, and obviously if you want to read if you still read to your children, they're ideal for that. There's lots of fun pictures and things for them to pick up on in the book, and we've had great feedback on those as well, so those to look out for in the new video. So by all means check that out. It's how to draw a Kragan, which is one of the main characters in the new book. So if you want further details on that, or are intrigued to find out what a Kragan is, by all means check out that video. So again, with the lip area, we're just going to make an allowance for light bouncing off. So although we've got a darker area inside the lips, we're going to drag those lines of the lip down. As we hit this point, we're then going to be picking up highlights, and then as we come further down, we end up darker again. But by doing this, we give the lips real structure. Make them feel solid. So again, some shade into here. Now this video is going to be split into 2 parts, so I'm going to take it so far as I've already mentioned. I will then add a bit more shading off a camera, and don't panic, it's nothing that we haven't covered in the other videos, but obviously I am aware of video length. I don't want it to be too long, so I will add more shade into the face to get it to the point when I can then start putting on the Day of the Dead makeup. So a little bit more shade into these areas for the moment, and again this is all the same as what we've already covered, so don't worry, don't panic, there's nothing on this that we haven't already done. Trust in obviously the stuff you've done already, and I can get it to the point where we then start doing the makeup section. So as I mentioned, I've done quite a few of these now for our tattoo shop. I suppose these tattoos started becoming quite popular 3 or 4 years back now. I had a massive surge on the Day of the Dead, and it's a really interesting holiday over in, I believe it's Mexico. I'll stand corrected on that if anybody wants to mention it in the comments. But it's a whole celebration of families, ancestors and things like that, so it's a real party day, but it's also a day for obviously remembering those that we've lost, and this makeup is kind of inspired by the parties over there, which you'll see on various movies and things like that. So, but what I found was, as I've already mentioned, people wanting certain styles and ladies and things like that, or even gentlemen, and they weren't quite in the right pose, so it was more about finding stock photos which would allow me to put the model in the right position, and then once I started doing that, I could just apply the makeup and the patterns that I wanted for the overall effect. Right, so again, normally I would spend a lot more time sharpening this up, not quite rushing it through. I just wanted to show you the first stage for jumping to the next part, just to prove that there was no hidden mysteries or anything like that. So I probably will pause it at that point, just put in some more of the shade which I need to move on to the next stage, and then once I've done that, restart the video, and then we'll run through the applying of the makeup. But thank you for now, and I'll catch you on the other side of the video. Okay, we're back. So as you can see, I've now placed a bit more shade into the areas where I needed it. So at this point we can now start applying the Day of the Dead makeup. So using usually the eyebrow line, it's one of the most important areas is around the eyes, as you can see here, and typically what it does is it follows around the top of the eyebrows, comes down across the nose, and what you're trying to recreate is essentially a sugar skull type skull face on your model or on yourself if you're doing your own makeup. And this drawing, we've got the eyebrow slightly raised, so follow the line of the eyebrow, because this is what would happen with your makeup as your face moved. So we're going to add the makeup in, just as if we were applying the makeup, say for your own Halloween makeup that you're going out in, something like that. So it's like this one, I'll make these slightly thicker line, And then typically what you would do is like a daisy type pattern around the outside. Because as we've already mentioned, although it's the Day of the Dead celebration, it is a celebration of your ancestors, so you're wanting to try and make it a happy event as well. I suppose it's a little bittersweet. Well, that's the whole point. It's remembering those that we've lost. And remembering them with fondness, and that's, I guess, where all this celebration started. Now it's obviously a huge event. So, try and match them up on the other side. And make allowances like on this one. If the picture, the face is slightly turned, have the makeup follow the real contours of the face. Thicken these lines a little. Now, typically what happens when we get to the nose area is they'll often have this like a spade from a deck of cards. So again, following the contours of the nose, but also following the highlights of the nose. Now, when you put makeup on a face or your own face, it has a natural sheen to it. So what I'm trying to do is keep this highlighted area here. So as we darken this out, we're going to keep the natural highlights that would occur if you'd painted your own face in makeup. So we'll then darken these areas as well. As we come to this area underneath the nose down to the lips, we put the last part of the spade. Making it darker right underneath the actual nose area, where it will be darker then lighter to the base of it. As we finish that off, if we just put a bit of shading into there, or blending, just try and soften this overall and try and get the tonal values correct. And again, I'll darken this drawing off camera as I finish the whole piece, but this is more really to give you an idea of how taking a face we can suddenly change it, put it into makeup and change the complete effect of what's going on with the drawing. Now the other big thing when we're drawing these Day of the Dead faces is the detailing on the lips, and this often follows like if you refer to the skull which we drew last week, I guess this line is accentuating where the teeth would be on the jaw, so we're kind of making that same effect with this video. And there we go, take it from corners of the mouth, up into the jaw area, and continue the teeth effect up into there. Now if you need some reference, you obviously got your sugar skulls from the other week, but if you want any further reference, obviously go online, type Day of the Dead makeup, and you will find page after page of inspiration there for you to have a play with. Follow some of that makeup. Often when we get down into the chin area, we'll have a rose, we may even have another club like this, or even say a love heart. If you're playing with colour and your drawings afterwards, obviously you can fire some colour into these areas, really go to town on your piece. But as I keep saying, experiment with these things, have a play. If you don't get it the first time, have another go. It's nothing spoiling. The worst you spoil is a piece of paper and you waste a little bit of time. But the more you do it, your confidence will grow, the better you'll get. So from here, we can then add in more and more detail until we build it up to a point where we're happy. So little teardrop effects. Up on the top, obviously on the sugar skull we drew a diamond. Oops, you can literally make this as crazy or complicated, convoluted as you fancy. And you can have them match. I've seen them where half the face has been done as a Day of the Dead and the other half is just obviously the normal face. Play with it. And if you want to post me any results, feel free to share your questions, share your thoughts. Obviously as well, sometimes when I'm drawing these things, I'm trying not to block the camera too much so you can see what I'm actually doing, so sometimes I have to draw in a little bit of an unnatural position. As I say, I'll clean this up over camera after I finished filming. And what I will do is I will darken these areas. Now quickly, before I do finish the video, when you black these areas out, as I've done on here, then I'll go back in and really start to accentuate the eyelashes, really drawing attention to the eyes. You want the eyes to draw you into the overall picture and really add some emphasis into this. But as I say, all the steps what I've shown you here will take you from this obviously to this when you finish working on there. But obviously the three parts, we had the sugar skulls in the first part, we had the realistic skull, and then we combined the elements along with the drawing of the real eye, the drawing of the realistic face and the shading. We've combined all those elements together and brought it to this. Yeah, so you can now see how those steps build in order for you to be able to finish a piece to this kind of level of detail. So have fun with it. I've got confidence in you and everything else what you've been telling me, so have a go and all the best. But thank you again for watching. Thank you immensely for your continued support. It really does mean a lot. If you're watching this video or any of these videos for the first time, please leave me a like and a subscribe. It very much would be appreciated. And I will catch you on the next videos. But thank you again for watching and good night.